All right, so here we go. I started the recording. So basically, just a little explanation of why the neck could be hurting when you're doing Pilates and you're doing exercises where you're required to lift the head and the chest. Oftentimes, there's a weakness in what's called the deep cervical flexors, which are the muscles on the front of the neck. So when we are in an upright position and our head sits on top of our body, the weight of the head is normally between 8 to 12 pounds, but that's when the head is perfectly balanced over the cervical spine. Okay, we all have some degree of forward head position when the head is a little bit ahead of the body. And let's say that now I'm looking at the computer screen. If I turn to the side, I have way more than where my head needs to be. Same with you. As you're looking at your phone, your head shifts into a forward position. If we get used to that forward head position and we don't do anything about it, then the body soon enough recognizes it as the new normal, and it just gets worse and worse over time. And especially when you're exercising, so you definitely need those muscles to fire, but they don't fire because they don't know how, then you're going to end up with a really sore neck. Of course, there could be other reasons why the neck is hurting. There could be a subluxation in the cervical spine or even further down in the body. Right now, I'm just talking about muscle imbalance. Okay, or it could be an old injury. It could be a whiplash injury. Right now, I'm just addressing muscle imbalance. So when the head sits perfectly on top of the body, it weighs between 8 to 12 pounds. When the head shifts just 1 inch forward, the weight of the head already doubles that the muscles back there and the cervical spine need to handle. If your head is 2 inches forward, then the weight of the head quadruples. So let's say that you're doing the 100 in Pilates, which requires you to lift the head and the chest, and the head juts forward a little bit too much. Then if you have, let's say, 2 inches of forward head position, then your cervical spine and the muscles on the posterior neck and shoulder are handling about 40 pounds of weight. Okay, that's way too much, so you get really sore the next day. Therefore, what I really like to do is balancing out the strength of the neck muscles. So the muscles in the back of the neck don't have to do all the work on their own, but the muscles in the front and on the side are supporting the weight of the head and keeping the head nice and balanced on top of the body. Okay, so in order to loosen up those muscles, those overactive, overly tight muscles, oftentimes the base of the head, where the skull meets the cervical spine, gets really, really sore. If you palpate that area, you can probably feel that it's on the sore side. Okay, so that could be just a daily thing that you're always really sore there, but it could be exacerbated by exercise as well. So if you feel tightness and soreness at the base of the head, a couple of things that you can do, Jen, is get a tennis ball or one of your balls that you use in your mat class, okay? And then what you could do is cup the ball with your hand, and then I'm gonna lay down on my table so you can see what I'm doing. Lay down on your back with the ball in your hand and just place the ball into that area, okay, base of the head, top of the neck, and rest your head on the ball. Okay, sometimes this is a little bit difficult for people because their head ends up tipping back, or they put it too high up, or they put it under the cervical spine. You need to be very specific and put it to that area where your hairline begins, okay? And just rest your head on the ball. Hold the ball in your hand. Good. You could even pull the chin in a little bit. Just like that. Can you feel that, Jan?
Yeah. Is it supposed to be right in the middle or on the side?
So this is the masculine notch, that bony bump behind your ear. And if you just go a little bit towards the cervical spine, that would be your first spot.
Okay. So it's kind of on the side, not quite.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can feel that.
Not in the middle. And then just rest.
It's comfortable. It's not. It's not comfortable.
Rest your head on it for like 10 to 20 seconds, and then make a very small movement. Move your head on the ball and just move a teeny bit over, okay, towards the cervical spine, towards the middle. So it's a very small area, okay. On either side, it's about this little of an area, so maybe that's a couple of inches, 2 or 3 inches. Okay, therefore you don't want to move the ball too much because then you run out of space. So just try and address that area right at the base of the neck. Okay, you could even massage it by moving the head around a little bit.
It's pretty tender. It's kind of giving me a headache as I'm doing it.
Yeah, those are what's called your suboccipitals. Okay, little bitty muscles at the base of the head that connect your skull to your neck. And oftentimes those muscles get incredibly sore because they are always trying to keep the head on top of the body.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And of course you can do that on the second side as well. Same concept. Okay, just place the ball into that little area and stay on a tender spot for about 10 to 20 seconds, and then after that you can move it just a little bit over. Okay, so on both sides at the base of the neck where the hairline begins, not on the cervical spine or not above the cervical spine, just like more on the right side and then on the left side. Okay. And I'm going to show you something. I need to get up and grab it. If you don't have time to lay down and do this, what else you could do is I have this little shiatsu massage stick. You can just type it in on Amazon and you could purchase one. It's very lightweight. It's made out of wood. Okay. And then even when you're, I don't know, watching TV or talking to a friend or just winding down at night, you could have it on your nightstand or on your coffee table and just dig in there a little bit. Give yourself a little massage. Okay, I have a client with severe neck pain. She keeps it in her purse. She's a school teacher and then she uses it while she's at work. Okay, so this is an option if for some reason the tennis ball doesn't work out for you.
Okay.
Then, after we release the suboccipitals, we're going to get a little bit into the trapezius muscles as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're sore on top of the shoulders, in the levators, and in the that part of the upper traps, one way to get into that area with a tennis ball is I'm going to lay down on my back. I don't put anything under my head, no pillow, no towel at this point. I place the ball there, and just because it's more the top of the shoulder as opposed to my back, I'm gonna lift my butt into a bridge, and I just try and put a little pressure on it and press my upper trap, my levator into the ball. You may have to keep it in place with your other hand. I'm gonna get up just to see if you're doing it right. Yeah, just like that. How is that, Jen?
It's pretty good. I'm wondering if maybe I need to use a little smaller ball, but I'll try it with different balls.
Okay. And then it's just that top area that's a little bit hard to get to.
Yeah, I can feel it though. I mean, it's totally, it's tender there. It's a trigger point. Definitely.
And then, Jen, after that, excuse me, we're gonna work our way down alongside of the shoulder blade, but during that time, you can bolster or you should bolster your head. So just grab a towel, grab a pillow, place something under the head, okay?
Okay, got a pillow.
I'm gonna get one for myself as well, okay? And And then what I'll do next is, again, I'm gonna lay down on my back and I'm gonna place the tennis ball next to my shoulder blade. So on the medial border of the shoulder blade, in between the shoulder blade and the spine. Okay.
Okay.
A little bit closer to the shoulder blade, so like right on the edge of it.
Okay.
Then for me, the tennis ball is on the right side. So I'm gonna bring my right hand over to my left shoulder.
Okay.
Yeah, and the reason I'm doing it is because I want my shoulder blade to move out of the way, so that way I can get into the nooks and crannies next to the shoulder blade. Okay. Can you feel that, Jan?
I can, yeah. It feels better when I do it this way, yeah. And then I can, yeah. Yeah, it's tender. Really tender there, yeah.
Yeah. Another thing you can do is, so for me the ball is on the right side, therefore I'm going to cross my right foot over my left knee in a figure 4 position, and then I'm going to push my left foot a little bit into the floor and I press my body into the ball. That way I intensify the pressure.
Yeah.
But if you already have enough pressure or too much pressure, no need to do that. Okay, that's just one way to intensify.
Okay.
Then I'm gonna push the ball just an inch lower down. Okay, so basically I'm working my way down alongside the medial border of my shoulder blade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most likely you will find some really tender areas. Okay, some really tender spots. There are 3 common trigger points alongside the shoulder blade, so I'm sure you're gonna find all 3 of them. And just always make sure that your neck is comfortable. If you need more bolster, feel free to put more under the head, okay? And then, same concept, spend about 10 to 20 seconds on a specific spot. Then, we're gonna move it another inch lower, okay?
Okay.
Just like that. And then another inch lower, all the way until we get down to the bottom of the shoulder blade. How is that, Jan?
It's feeling better as I move down.
Okay.
So once I'm at the bottom of the shoulder blade, my shoulder blades are so small. It doesn't take me very long to get to the bottom.
Okay. Then what we do next is we're gonna keep the ball on the same side, on the right side, but we're gonna move it. We're gonna move it from the shoulder blade towards the spine. Okay, so I don't want you to put it on your spinal column. I just want you to put it next to the spine. Okay. And we are still on the right side.
Okay.
Okay, and same thing, you just want to cross over, and if you don't get enough pressure, then just push your foot a little bit into the floor and press your body into the ball.
Okay.
And then spend 10 to 20 seconds on a specific spot, then move it an inch lower.
Okay.
Okay. And we're just gonna work our way down alongside of the thoracic spine, okay? And we could go all the way down to the sacrum, but we're not gonna go that far. We just want to address the upper back, middle back, okay? So, same as on the shoulder blade side, once you get down to the lower tip of the shoulder blade or in line with the lower tip of the shoulder blade, we are going to stop there.
Okay.
Okay. And if you ever feel like your head is tipping back, just put a little bit more bolster under the head, lift the head higher, okay.
So you don't want your head to really tip back too much.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Not at all, okay. Okay. All right. Maybe it's up too much now. Okay.
And we're gonna move maybe 1 more inch, okay, going downwards. Also, Jen, check in with the lower back and make sure that you're not arching the back, because as the tennis ball is digging into your back, you could be, trying to lift your back away from the ball because it's hurting. So make sure that you don't do it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm totally doing that. Yeah.
If it's too much pressure, Jen, if it's too painful, then what you could do is do it on a softer surface. Okay, so put that.
I think I'm gonna switch balls. Actually, I've got a softer ball.
Yeah, or choose a softer ball since you have a.
Okay, and it's smaller too. By the time, a tennis ball between my shoulder blade and spine, I don't really have any room. It hits my. Got a better ball here. Yeah. This is good. This is better. Okay.
But overall, you understand the concept, right? So first we go down alongside the shoulder blade. Then once you're done at the bottom of the shoulder blade, you're gonna move the ball next to the spine. Okay.
Right.
Not on the vertebrae, not on nerves, just on soft tissue. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. All right, good. Okay, yeah.
And you can do that on both sides. Okay. You don't have to do it right now, just later on when you're practicing yourself. Okay. And then we're gonna use Dr. Reiter's next.
Okay.
So there are a few different things that you can do with it. When you place it under the head, you want this soft plastic curved part under the neck. Exactly. Okay. And for a couple of days, just get used to it, lay in it, try and increase the time that you spend in the neck device. So at the beginning, just lay in it for, let's say, 5 minutes. Okay. And then the next day, increase it to 6 minutes. The following day, 7 minutes. Try and increase it when you can spend like 15 or 20 minutes in the device. If you don't have that kind of time, you could still lay in it for 10 minutes and it's going to be very therapeutic. Okay.
And do I do it once a day or twice a day?
It's up to you, Jen. If you have time to do it twice a day, fantastic. If you don't, then just do it once a day. Okay. Also, when you use it, be sure to put something under your legs. So here in the studio, I use a Pilates arc. And I rest my legs over the arc, just because when you're laying in the neck device and your legs are extended out on the mat, the weight of the legs is going to pull your pelvis forward and it's going to pull on your neck. So overall, it's going to be much more comfortable if your legs are bent or if you rest your legs on something. Okay.
Am I okay to just bend my knees like this?
Perfect. Yes.
I noticed I was doing that naturally, but I've got some bolsters over here.
Yes. So if you decide to bolster, feel free to do that. Okay. And then what we'll do next is you're going to use the neck device to do some neck strengthening exercises. Okay. So as you're laying in the neck device, just be sure that it's even on both sides. Okay, the head is not tilted. Also, what you want to pay attention to is that your chin and your forehead are in the same plane. It's not an issue for you because you have good body alignment, but if you ever introduce somebody else to the neck device, you use it in your class or you use it on your husband, your relatives, anybody, and their neck and their thoracic spine is very inflexible, what you could see is that as they are laying in the device, their head is tipping back like that. Okay. And then we want the chin and the forehead in the same height. Okay, so you're looking good. Then what we'll do is draw your chin a little bit in, give yourself a little double chin, just a small little move, and feel that you're pressing the neck device into the floor a little bit. Okay. Then relax and let the neck device bounce back. Then take an inhale. On your exhale, a little chin tuck, and it doesn't have to be anything too much, maybe just an inch. Okay, just draw it in a little bit. Yeah. And then always relax in between repetitions when you let the device spring back to its original shape. And then you draw in the chin. And if you pay attention to what exactly is happening in the neck and in the jaw during this movement, what you should be feeling is that the jaw is sliding a little bit backwards, okay? And you should feel that the front of the neck tightens a bit, okay? And then when you let the device spring back, you don't have to overdo it to the point that your head literally lifts out of the device. That's too much. So basically, you just want to relax and let the device spring back to its original shape. Okay. And then when you draw in your chin, and you squeeze a little bit of the front of the neck, you should also feel that there's a change in alignment in the upper cervical vertebrae. Okay, so let's say that here I am in a slide forward head position. My head is pitching forward a little bit up here. Okay, and that's my usual posture. My head is always a little bit ahead of my body. Not too much, just a little. So when I lay in the device, and I draw my chin in, my head actually slides backwards and it stacks up on top of my cervical spine. Okay, so whenever I'm in a slide forward head position, my upper cervical spine gets really rigid. Therefore, when I draw in my chin and I press the back of my head a little bit into the device, I'm retracting the head and I'm mobilizing that segment of my cervical spine that is usually really stiff. Okay. Just like that. And now go ahead and continuously do it 7 or 8 times and I'm going to watch you. Good. Good. Nice, Jen. Do it twice more.
I have to be careful to not compensate and use my lower back or my shoulder.
Oh yeah. Make sure that the movement is very small and it only takes place in the upper cervical spine. So make the movement about an inch. Okay. Not more. The head doesn't need to move a whole lot. It's very slight, very subtle. Okay. I'd rather have you do a little bit less than too much. Because if you move more than just an inch, then you're gonna mobilize more of your mid-cervical spine, which is probably already too mobile. Okay. We want to mobilize upper cervical spine. So just a little bit of movements. Okay. Very nice. You're doing great. Okay. And next, what we'll do is you keep your head in the device. And earlier we were doing flexion, extension. Now we're going to do slight little rotation. Okay, so the movement, again, has to be very small, very fine, about an inch, not more than that. So as you're laying in the device, imagine shaking your head, doing and no, you're telling your grandchildren, no, don't get into that. But you have to do it on a very small scale. So only move the head an inch to the right, and then back to the center, and then inch to the left. Okay, and do it with just a slight little chin tuck. Just a very little chin tuck, and you're moving your nose an inch to the right, back to the center, and an inch to the left. Smaller than that, Jen.
Smaller?
Good. Good. We're gonna do 10 of these. Okay, so let's say that was 6. Yeah. So the point of these small movements, these little bitty exercises, is to mobilize the upper cervical that gets really rigid most of the time, and that can manifest in a lot of neck tightness and a lot of neck pain. Okay, So that's why we make the movement so small. The third one is going to be side bending. So as you're resting your head in the device, imagine bringing your right earlobe an inch towards your right shoulder, just an inch. And then left earlobe an inch towards the left shoulder. Back to the center. Always note when your head is in the center and it's still, and then go ahead and do a little movement in one direction, back to the center, and the other direction. Now, okay, that side was really good. Now wait a second. When you go this, go back to the other side, Jen. That side. Which side is that for you?
Right. It's my
You're
right
going
side.
to your right. Okay. So when you go to your right, you're actually doing a little rotation as opposed to side bending. So when you side bend, feel that your chin is going to the side exactly, and your ear is coming towards your shoulder. It's very common that people can do it very well on one side, but not so well on the other side. Good. Yeah. Does that feel different on the right side?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you do it at home, be sure to pay attention. Okay. And do it once more on each side. Good. Okay, so far we've done flexion extension, we did lateral flexion, and we did rotation. Okay, then what we'll do next is I want you to imagine that your face is a clock. Okay, your nose is the hand of the clock. 12 o'clock is up at the middle of the forehead, 6 o'clock down at the chin, 3 is one ear, 9 is the other ear. And we're gonna point the nose towards each number on the clock, except for 12 o'clock. We're gonna skip going towards 12 o'clock, because if you pointed your nose towards 12, it would bring your head into a forward position, which you already do very well. Okay, so instead of that, we're gonna point the nose towards 1 o'clock. So just a little bit of a movement, pointing up. You can even look that way. That's gonna make it easier for you. And then come back to the center. And don't forget that the movement needs to be really small. So if you feel the device rocking under your head, that's a sign that you're doing a little bit too much. Okay, so just a little bit of movement, point with the nose towards 1 o'clock, and then go back to the center. Then point your nose towards 2 o'clock, and back to the center, then towards 3 o'clock. Okay, then stop there. Then continuing between 3 and 9, so between your ears, I want you to point your nose towards every half an hour. So you already pointed your nose towards 3, that was great. Now I want you to point towards 3:30. It seems like you're going straight down to 6, Jen. So 3:30, if 3 o'clock is your right ear, then 3:30 would be just a little bit below. Yeah. Okay, then go back to the center. Go back to the center. Good. Is the neck device straight under your head? Maybe it's just the camera, but it looks like it's a little bit shifted. Okay. Then point your nose towards 4 o'clock, so it would be a little chin tuck out to the side. Back to the center, back to neutral position. Then point your nose towards 4:30. Good. And back to the center. Then towards 5 o'clock. Back to the center. Go towards 5:30. And towards 6. Then go to 6:30 and to 7. 7:30. 8. 8:30. Good. 9. Great. After that, you can go to 10 o'clock. Yeah, and to 11. Okay. We're gonna do this again, Jen. Let's go around the clock, skipping 12, okay? And especially when you're between your ears, so you're between 3 and 9 o'clock, after a while, start paying attention to what muscles you use, what muscles you're activating, and you're gonna feel the muscles under the jaw and in the front of the neck, and those are your deep cervical flexors, okay? Very good.
Okay.
Great job. Okay. So you can start using the neck device if you have the time, Jen, every day. Okay. You can do these little cervical tractioning exercises. They are really, really great for mobilizing the upper cervical spine. And when you lay in the neck device, it holds the weight of your head so your neck muscles don't have to. And it also helps realign your cervical spine, okay? Because with forward head position or you're having to look forward too much during the day, what happens is the cervical spine loses its curvature. And especially if you've ever been in some kind of accident or you suffered an injury that affected your neck, then restoring that curve as much as possible and balancing out the musculature of the neck is very important. Okay. I'm gonna stop the recording because it only allows me, I believe, 40 minutes and that time is almost up. Okay.